him. "A good Sabbath," he replied. "And where is a boy going?" "Just for a walk," I said. "For a walk? All alone?" he asked. And he looked straight into my eyes with such a little smile that it was hard to guess what he meant by it, whether he thought that it was very brave of me to be walking out all alone or not. Was it, in his opinion, a wise thing to do or a foolish? On one occasion, when I was going to Chip Chik's house, I noticed that Ephraim Log of Wood was looking at me very curiously. I stopped on the bridge and gazed into the water. Ephraim also stopped on the bridge and he also gazed into the water. I started to go back. He followed me. I turned round again to go forward and he also turned round in the same direction. A few minutes later he was lost to me. When I was sitting at Chip Chik's table drinking tea, we heard the black dog barking loudly at someone and tearing at his rope. We looked out of the window and I imagined I saw a low-sized black figure with short little legs running. Then it disappeared from view. From his manner of running I could have sworn the little creature was Ephraim Log of Wood. And thus it came to pass. I came home late that Sabbath evening. It was already after the Havdalah. My face was burning, and I found Ephraim Log of Wood sitting at the table. He was talking very rapidly and was laughing with his curious little laugh. When he saw me, he was silent. He started drumming on the table with his short little fingers. Opposite him sat my father. His face was deathlike. He was pulling at his beard, tearing out the hairs one by one. This was a sure sign that he was in a temper. "Where have you come from?" my father asked of me, and looked at Ephraim. "Where am I to come from?" said I. "How do I know where you are to come from?" says he. "You tell me where you have come from. You know better than I." "From the house of learning," said I. "And where were you the whole day?" said he. "Where could I be?" said I. "How do I know?" said he. "You tell me. You know better than I." "At the house of learning," said I. "What were you doing at the house of learning?" said he. "What should I be doing at the house of learning?" said I. "Do I know what you could be doing there?" said he. "I was learning," said I. "What were you learning?" said he. "What should I learn?" said I. "Do I know what you should learn?" said he. "I was learning Gemara," said I. "What Gemara were you learning?" said he. "What Gemara should I learn?" said I. "Do I know what Gemara you should learn?" said he. "I learned the Gemara Shabbos," said I. At this Ephraim Log of Wood burst out laughing in his rattling little laugh, and it seemed that my father could bear no more. He jumped up from his seat and delivered me two resounding fiery boxes on the ears. Stars flew before my eyes. My mother heard my shouts from the other room. She flew into us with a scream. "Nahum, the Lord be with you! What are you doing? A young man, a bridegroom elect, just before his wedding! Bethink yourself! If her father gets to know of this, God forbid!" My mother was right. The girl's father got to know the whole story. Ephraim Log of Wood went off himself and told it to him. And in this way Ephraim had his revenge of Herschel the tax collector, for the two had always been at the point of sticking knives into one another. Next day I got back the marriage contract and the presents which had been given to the bride-elect, and I was no longer a bridegroom-elect. This grieved my father so deeply that he fell into a very serious illness. He was bedridden for a long time. He would not let me come near him. He refused to look into my face. All my mother's tears and arguments and explanations and her defence of me were of no use at all. "The disgrace," said my father, "the disgrace of it is worse than anything else." "May it turn out to be a real true sacrifice for us all," said my mother to him. "The Lord will have to send us another bride-elect. What can we do? Shall we take our own lives? Perhaps it is not his destiny to marry this girl." Amongst those who came to visit my father in his illness was Chichik, the bandmaster. When my father saw him he took off his little round cap, sat up in bed, stretched out his hand to him and looked straight into his eyes, and said, "Ah, Mr Sergeant, Mr Sergeant!" He could not utter another sound because he was smothered by his tears and his cough. This was the first time in my life that I saw my father crying. His tears gripped hold of my heart and chilled me to the very soul. I stood and looked out of the window, swallowing my tears in silence. At that moment I was heartily sorry for all the mischief I had done. I cried within myself from the very depths of my heart, beating my breast, "I have sinned!" And within myself I vowed solemnly to myself that I would never, never, never anger my father again, and never, never cause him any pain. No more fiddle. Chapter 18